$2 trillion. That's where the global pharma market is heading this decade. But here's the real question: who actually dominates by 2030 and why? Will an AI driven biotech startup disrupt the entire game? Stay with us because the answer isn't simple and the future of global health depends on it. Let's start with where we are today. The global pharmaceutical market has hit $2 trillion in 2025 and it's still expanding. The United States alone control around 40% of global revenues, led by giants like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, ABBY, Bristol Myers Squibb, and Eli Lilly. Europe holds roughly 20%, with powerhouse firms such as Roche, Novartis, Sanofi, AstraZeneca, and GSK. China is the fastest growing, already securing over 15%, with rising champions like Sino Biopharmaceutical, Jiangsu Hengrui, WuXi AppTec, and CSPC Pharma. And then there's India, often called the pharmacy of the world, which supplies over 60% of global vaccine demand, driven by leaders like Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Biocon, and Serum Institute of India. But unlike tech or oil, pharma isn't just about who sells the most. It's about patents, regulation, and geopolitics. And that's why the story of who dominates in 2030 is way more complicated than a single company or country. The US has been the undisputed leader of pharma for decades. Why? Innovation. Nearly 45% of all new drug discoveries come from American labs. Capital. Wall Street and Silicon Valley pump billions into biotech startups. Regulation power. The FDA stamp of approval is the golden ticket to global markets. Think about it. Pfizer BioNTech's COVID vaccine was the first to roll out worldwide, proving how quickly US pharma can lead in a crisis. But there are cracks. Drug prices in America are infamously high, political pressure to slash cost is growing, and supply chain rely heavily on India and China. Still, when it comes to biotech startups, gene editing, cancer drugs, and advanced therapies, American firms like Moderna, Gilead, Regeneron, and Vertex keep the US far ahead. But can it stay that way? Not if Europe and Asia have something to say about it. Europe has its heavyweights: Roche and Novartis in Switzerland, Sanofi in France, and AstraZeneca and GSK in UK. They dominate in oncology, rare diseases, vaccines, and next-gen therapies like CAR-T and mRNA drugs. Europe consistently delivers world-class treatments. Over-regulation slows approvals and strict price controls limit profits. By 2030, Europe will still be a pharma powerhouse. But it risks becoming the innovation follower, while the US and Asia take the lead in the speed and scale. And speaking of speed and scale, no country is moving faster than China. China has a plan. By 2030, it wants to be a self-sufficient pharma superpower. Beijing invests $200+ billion annually into healthcare and biotech. It leverages its population for clinical trials at scale, and it's racing ahead in generics and biosimilars, threatening Western drug profits. Top players: Sino Biopharma, Jiangsu Hengrui, WuXi AppTec, and CSPC Pharma are all scaling globally. China is also buying Western patents, acquiring biotech abroad, and building a pharma ecosystem designed to rival the West. But trust issues remain. Global skepticism about quality standards and transparency lingers. Still, if China sustains this pace, it could dominate the world's supply of low-cost drugs by 2030. But if China wants to rule scale, India is right there in the fight. India, the pharmacy of world. India already produces 20% of the world's generic drugs and 60% of vaccines. During COVID, it was Serum Institute of India that supplied much of the developing world with affordable vaccines. Other leaders: Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, Biocon, and Zydus Life Sciences. Strength: ultra low-cost manufacturing, allied scientific talent. Weakness: dependence on Chinese APIs. If India cuts the dependence, it could become the global hub for affordable medicine. Imagine a world where the US innovates, China mass produces, and India delivers the most accessible version of every critical drug. That's not a far off scenario, it's happening right now. But the biggest twist may not come from a country at all. Companies like Moderna showed how fast mRNA tech can change the world. Now imagine dozens of new firms using CRISPR, synthetic biology, and AI to slash development timelines in half. AI driven discovery could be the ultimate disruptor by 2030. Instead of 10 years for a new drug, imagine just 3 to 5. And here's the kicker, the most powerful pharma companies of 2030 may not even exist yet today. Which brings us to the big question, who actually wins the race? Who will dominate? Here's the most likely outcome. US will remain the innovation leader with pioneers like Pfizer, Moderna, ABBY, Lilly. China will dominate scale and generics powered by Hengrui, Wuxi, CSPC. India will lead on affordable access and vaccines through Serum Institute, Sun Pharma, Cipla, and Biocon. Europe will hold strong with Roche, Novartis, Sanofi, AstraZeneca, but risk falling behind in speed. The future looks like a three-pillar pharma world, US for innovation, China for scale, and India for affordability. But with biotech startups rising, this balance could shift overnight. So, who do you think will dominate the $2 trillion pharma market by 2030? Will it be the American giants, China's state-backed labs, or India's generic powerhouse? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We are curious to see where you stand. And if you want a detailed company-by-company breakdown, which pharma giant is set to win in which country, let us know in the comment. We'll create a specific deep dive video just for you. And for more deeper insights and company-level reports on pharma market, visit mobilityforesights.com. We publish data-driven research, competitive analysis, and future forecasts. Links in the description.